And welcome to this month's Positively Gainesville podcast. It is sponsored by the Gainesville Economic Development Corporation. Just a chance for us to spotlight some of the great things, positive things going on here in our local community. And one of those is all the new businesses that are opening up in the Gainesville area. And one of those that we're spotlighting today is proud to call Gainesville home now. That is Chick-fil-A. And we have with us the new owner-operator of the Gainesville Chick-fil-A, Michael Clark. And welcome to the Positively Gainesville podcast. And I guess welcome to Gainesville, period. You haven't been here too long, have you?
Yeah, no, thanks, Darren. I appreciate it. No, we've been here coming up on a year, actually, this upcoming weekend. We moved in a year ago, beginning of February.
That must have been just a crazy time in y'all's life. I'm going to get you to walk us through the process of how Chick-fil-A, how they chose Gainesville, how they choose their locations, because it is a long process, a lot of thought and a lot of effort and thing goes into finding just the right communities for a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, so there's a whole side to it that nobody actually sees, but there's a lot of work and a lot of folks behind the scenes that make it all happen for Chick-fil-A's to come to the towns. So one of the biggest things I can say is Chick-fil-A has their own real estate team. They have their own folks that oversee the purchasing or leasing of the properties as far as where they may go in terms of the towns across the country. And Chick-fil-A is broken up into 6 regions, and in those regions, those teams are then specific to those regions. So for us, we're in the Southwest region, which in Chick-fil-A terms means Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. And so the folks that oversee that property or just the opportunity at hand, they're gauging all different metrics as far as the town's growth, the town's population, median household income, things of that nature, and they're just gauging it for years. And what they'll do is they'll spotlight different towns. They'll put like what we call a green dot on it, and then over the course of 5 years, 10 years, whatever it might be, the timeline, they're just gauging the metrics to see the type of growth and development of that community, to see if it is sustainable for an owner-operator to come in with a Chick-fil-A. Because at the end of the day, Chick-fil-A wants the business to thrive and do well. And if you come too soon, it would be too soon for the community, too soon for the operator, and it wouldn't be a great fit. If you come too late, well, then you have some catching up to do. So it's a fine line and a fine balance to make it happen for everybody.
Yeah, I know folks in Gainesville have been clamoring for years, for a Chick-fil-A. And then when the news finally came that it was coming, and I don't know, I'm sure they have at this point. I was going to say, you're at a perfect location. I mean, you're right there on the corner of 35 and 82. But have they shown you the pictures of what used to be, where you're at right now, the old Motel?
Yeah, so we've had the luxury of Google didn't update too quickly. So we've been able to see a lot of what was there or lack thereof before we got there. We even have seen what it looks like for where Quick Trip is before Quick Trip was built. We know it was like a mini horse farm.
Miniature horses, yeah.
And so we know, we saw the property before, just in the sense of through pictures. And so it's unique to see what it looked like before, to see now how busy of an intersection it actually is and what it looked like beforehand. And even before 35 and the exits, however they were changed, it used to be like, I guess, not a roundabout, but like a
clover.
Yes.
Clover
exactly.
leaf, yeah.
So a very different setup now than what it was. So we've been fortunate to see what that looked like.
Well, we talked about the process for Chick-fil-A choosing the communities they're going into. It's also a long process for you to become an owner-operator. Walk us through what that was like for you and your family.
Yeah, so the biggest thing, it starts with just an application. It's like applying for any job. And the hard part about that is Chick-fil-A has to get to know you on paper. And so you have to get through the process from just the application piece. And it's a lot like applying for, becoming a student at a college or university, because you have to answer short essay questions and things of that nature. You talk about a lot about your background, whatever it might be. If you came from business, you came from anything of different sporting world, whatever it might be, you talk about your background. They go through all your finances, find out, what's your income to debt ratio right now. And
it's a long process, right?
It is. And so it starts with that application process, and then you can go from that point forward, you can go upwards of 8 to 15 interviews, depending along your timeline and everything else that goes with it. I mean, you have to, once the application is submitted, Chick-fil-A will then reach out and say, okay, we're moving forward with you. And then they set up some form of interview, whether it's a pre-recorded interview where you're answering 5 questions within like a 2-minute time frame for each question. And then after that, they'll then set up another interview if they deem you as a competitive candidate. And then there should be one more interview typically after that point. And that's what I call the gatekeeping interview. And that's the one where Chick-fil-A says, yes, we'll go into business with you. No, we won't, not right now, or no, not ever. And then a lot of folks don't get through that point. And it's one where Chick-fil-A can see about 10 to 12,000 applications a year. So applications, but what you do is you submit an expression of interest, meaning they'll send you a link for the application. Chick-fil-A has seen 40, 50, 60,000 people that have come through in terms of expressing interest. Doesn't mean that they apply, just says they're expressing interest to become an owner-operator. And then as far as like getting through the top grade interview, so to speak, that interview sees a very small number of people get through. 200, 300, 400 people might get through. And then after that, you get matched up, so to speak, for different opportunities as far as where they see you're competitive for. So there's different ranges for how they deem a candidate competitive from their ability to lead the business at a high level. And so you get matched up with different available opportunities. And at the end of the day, yeah, you could. So for us, it took us about 16 to 18 months to go from the process as far as submitting our application to then what Chick-fil-A calls ringing the bell. So when you ring the bell, it's Chick-fil-A's big montage for being selected as an owner-operator. And then it's not truly official until you sign your operator agreement, but the ringing of the bell is just a fun signature piece to like hold your hat on it, like this is finally here.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize, they think that you could have just decided, oh, I want to own and operate a Chick-fil-A, and oh, look, there's not one in Gainesville, I'm going to go put one in Gainesville. That was not, I mean, Chick-fil-A does all that research for you, and I'm not going to say that you didn't get to choose Gainesville. That's probably part of the process, but it's not like you could have just chosen anywhere in the United States and just moved and put in a Chick-fil-A there, right? They're very selective.
Yeah, so Chick-fil-A, I guess the best way to put it in a very polite way is that Chick-fil-A doesn't allow folks to tell them where to build. It's more so Chick-fil-A will find the best fit for both their business and the operator being selected for that opportunity. Because the big piece for us is it's local ownership, local operation. So I live in Gainesville. You know, any taxes that are paid, they go to the city or even the county of Cook County. And so that's a big piece for us, is that Chick-fil-A wants to have that local ownership piece. And so to have that, you have to have the right candidate. And so Chick-fil-A wants to be strategic for where they build, because you can't just build anywhere. You know, you can build a lot of different things wherever you want, but in terms of success, in terms of impact, it won't go very well typically.
Well, you and your family moved from Georgia to North Texas when you got this opportunity, and I'm just curious what your first impressions of Gainesville were, not from those Google images that you first saw, but just when you got here and got a chance to look around. What did you think?
Yeah, so we loved it. We came from a county where you had 20 of the top tier high schools in our county back in Georgia, and it was a very fast pace of life, very just almost rat racy type. And so to come to Gainesville, be in Cook County, it was nice because you come to a place where there's a lot of passion, a lot of drive, a lot of energy. People connect with the community and the town very well. And it was a much different change of pace for us. And it was nice to come in and see Gainesville be a place where smaller in the sense of close-knit, and it made where we wanted to have neighbors that we did life with. Well, we have that now. And where we came from in Georgia, you didn't have that. You'd have neighbors, but you never did life with them. You'd pass them on your way to work and on your way back home, but that was it. And so now we do life with our neighbors. We see them, we interact with them, we engage with them. And that was the biggest thing we saw with Gainesville, is that people actually do life together here.
Yeah, but pretty interesting that an outsider would think that as well, because we've known that for years, those of us who have lived here. You know, Chick-fil-A known for a lot of things, the great food, being closed on Sundays, saying my pleasure at the counter. But other thing is that you're very involved in the community. And I'm curious, why is that so important, not just to Chick-fil-A, but to you as an owner-operator?
Well, for us, the community is what sustains us. Right? That's where I source all my talent from. So I have a lot of my talent from within Gainesville. I have between about 15 to 20 just Gainesville high school students. And so the town itself is what sustains us. So to be locally engaged and connected is a big thing for us, because these are the people we're doing life with, and these are the people we're providing jobs and income for. And in turn, they're being gracious to us by choosing to eat with us every day. So to be involved in their lives is a big piece for us.
I don't think people also realize exactly how many people you have employed there. You know, you think of a fast food restaurant, you think, oh, there's maybe 15, 20. You've got a huge workforce with you, don't you?
Yeah, so I've got about 80 team members right now, and that includes my leaders as well, but 80 of them. We have about 30 to 40 that can, about 20 to 30 that can work in our daytime part, so between 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., and then between 45, 50 or so that work between 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. for us at any given time.
Pretty amazing there. And you got some good ones too. I've known a lot and have seen the pictures. I know you were out at Spring Fling last year before you even opened, you know, doing some applications and maybe even some interviews out there in your little booth. So saw you out actually getting out there to try to find your workforce. Now you have someone that handles a lot of your marketing for you, including all of your social media. You just happen to be married to her.
That's true.
She does a great job, by the way. I love following her on Instagram and Facebook, or following Chick-fil-A on Instagram and Facebook. But a positive social media presence is important to any business nowadays, and I guess y'all have just kind of piggybacked on that.
Yeah, so let me first say my wife is the all-star in this, so I may be quote-unquote the owner-operator of the business, but she's the one that keeps things moving in terms of the social media interaction and just the presence that we have with the town. And so to be engaged on social media, it's a lot like I guess, 40 years ago when you watched news at night, you were bringing the newscaster into your room, into your house, and it was personal and it was intimate. Same thing with social media now. Like, we have a avenue we can use in a platform where people can connect to us on a personal, intimate level, where they can get to know us, be engaged by us, we get to know them, and they have that interaction where it's not just, some corporate figure, way out over there. But no, we live in town. They can reach out to us. They can find us. They can see us walking the streets, walking in Tom Thumb, whatever it might be. And so to be engaged on social media is a big deal because people want to be reached and they like being connected to. And we want to be a present for that.
Yeah, one of the great things you do also is you host lots of special events. I've seen from social media, a big thing is your Storytime, a great thing for moms to bring their kids out, and a kind of little morning activity at Chick-fil-A. You got Spirit Nights. A lot of schools and organizations have taken part in that. Just tell us about some of those, why y'all do those, and how important that is as well.
Yeah, so Storytime, one of the biggest things we found out coming into town was there weren't many places for moms with kids to spend their time with their children in the mornings or in the afternoons. So fortunately for us, we have an indoor playground and the ability to host folks of that nature and give them a space to just come hang out. There's no pressure. When you come to Storytime, please come hang out. There's no pressure to buy anything. It's just come hang out, hear a story, have a craft, and enjoy yourself. And let your kids go crazy in the playground, and we'll take care of you for the rest of the day. And then Spirit Nights for us is a big deal because, especially here in Cook County, the schools and the school districts themselves are raising a lot of their funds for a lot of their extracurricular activities, whether it's sporting events, whether it's debate, the list goes on, right? And so we saw it as an opportunity for us to partner with anything that ran through the filter of children and education, right? Two things that are very important to what we do for the next generation. And we saw it as a good opportunity for us to partner with organizations that could better themselves by partnering with us to come in and say, hey, we'll give you a Spirit Night. You provide, essentially you come in, any sales that you bring in, we will give you a percentage back to say thank you for what you did and to keep moving you forward, because we know it's not easy to go out there and raise funds. So we want to do what we can to help out.
Yeah, and I'm guessing those have been successful because it seems like y'all have one every week or every 2 weeks or something. Everyone's trying to take advantage of that. And as you said, all it does is just put money into these organizations that aren't getting it from necessarily the state of Texas, so they're having to come up with this extra money. So pretty cool that a restaurant would be able to do that. We talked earlier about your location there, right there at I35 and 82. You mentioned Quick Trip across from you. Of course, you're next to the new Whataburger. There's the Panda Express. There's the First State Bank corporate headquarters. Across from you, there's a burger place now. We understand the land has been sold on the southwest corner of 82 and 35. But just since you've been here, I'm guessing you have seen a huge transformation on the I35 corridor in Gainesville.
Yeah, I'd say it. If you drive south into the Metroplex, everything that's coming from the Metroplex is coming north now. And you see that. You see the volume increasing. You see the car count increasing. You just see higher traffic volume coming up from the Metroplex and even coming down from Oklahoma. We have folks that pass through that come from Oklahoma City into the Metroplex every week, and they stop with us and eat. And so we're just seeing the volume and traffic volume increase greatly, and that's good for the town, right? I had somebody ask, well, aren't you concerned that Burger King's coming to town? No, because at the end of the day, that's more tax dollars back into Cook County, into the city. So anything like that brings added revenue to the city. It's a big deal for us. It provides more jobs. It provides more people that can potentially live in the town for us. So as we see the town growing up, we love it because it adds more just opportunity.
Well, the great thing, too, and with you and your wife and your children, I've seen you out and about market days. You've enjoyed market days at Liberty Crossing. I know your wife and the kids probably spend a lot of time on the Homegrown Hero walking trail. Yeah. Probably Leonard Park and the Frank Buck Zoo are big things with a family like yours. So I'm just curious, as someone who has just moved into the community within the last year, just some things that you like most about Gainesville.
Oh, man, we love a lot about Gainesville. So we love truly Frank Buck Zoo. Incredible place. That was one of the first things we did was bought a season pass there. And we're very grateful to have that because it's just a good place to hang out with the kids. Our son loves to connect with the animals. But market days, we love just how Gainesville, we feel like it's on the up and up in the sense of it's not that everything's arrived, but that everything's coming still, in the sense of Gainesville's being very strategic for what is being brought into town and into the county. And it's a good thing, because it looks like, and what we feel like is happening, is that the benefit of everyone involved, as far as just the well-being of everyone in town, that's what is the filters being used to provide new opportunities and just good things. I mean, you look at market days, what an incredible thing that happens once a month for the last weekend of the month, right? It's huge. All these local vendors come out and have this great place to sell all their items, put themselves on stage, and just have a chance to connect with everyone in town and be like, man, I didn't know this was happening up here. And it's a great place to hang out. I mean, you got the grass lawn out front, which the kids can hang out on and play and hear music and everything. It's a lot. It's very just close-knit is what everything we see here.
Well, it's kind of interesting to get your perspective, because like I said, a lot of people that have lived here for all their lives, we talk about this on the podcast all the time. We only hear the negative comments or whatever, but it's kind of interesting to hear someone who is new to the community remind us of all the things that are good about Gainesville. And Michael Clark and his team at Chick-fil-A, a big part of that. Thanks for being on the podcast today, and continued success. We'll look forward to having a chicken sandwich or two at your place throughout the next coming weeks. Again, the Positively Gainesville podcast is sponsored by the Gainesville Economic Development Corporation.